Welcome to Winging It with Wingo with your host, Derek Wingo. Welcome to Winging It with Wingo with your host, Derek Wingo. Super excited for my special guest today, head coach Dan Mullen. Dan, appreciate you for coming on today.
Always good to see you again. Been a couple years since we got to hang out, but it's great to get back and seeing you doing so well. You love to see, as coaches, we always love to see our guys doing well in life, but I don't think that was ever going to be a doubt for you coming up, and you knew that from an early age.
Yeah. So, I was going to start, right away by just, saying thank you, right? My journey in Florida always wasn't, what I wanted, but, you were always someone looking back that, I could count on, that was always transparent, and always kept it real with, very welcoming with me and my family, and brought the fire to the field every day.
Well, you know what I always think is this, and I think you know this, and too many people out there, they see it of, their view of what success is, especially for college athletes when they get into college football. And I know you were one of the highest recruited guys in the country, and you have these expectations that this is how the career is going to go, boom, 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 boom. And, it doesn't always work out that way, but that doesn't hinder the success that guys have, and you look at the career, if you define the career by stats or by only wins or by only one factor, instead of what you were able to accomplish, the connections you made, the life lessons you learned, what you're able to take out of it, and how you're able to move forward in life. So many more guys have success beyond football than in football. And, for me, that was my life. I'm still doing football here all these years later, even though I couldn't tell you the last time I played. that was well before you were born, or most people watching were born. But that it's still been part of your life the whole time before, since that. But it's impacted your life in such a positive way.
Yeah, you and obviously, you're a huge impact to me, not just on the field, but off the field. But, getting into some of the stuff with you, right? You were fortunate after to graduate, starting your career, GA at Syracuse. And then, what really just made you get into all this coaching stuff? Obviously now looked at as, one of the, greatest college football coaches ever to step foot on the field.
I was something early in life. I was, as a young kid, I remember, I was in high school, I helped coach a Pop Warner team. And I always wanted to be involved in football. And, growing up in Manchester, New Hampshire, you never know how that's going to play out for you, right? I thought, boy, even when I started coaching, I'm like, maybe one day I could be even a high school head coach. But you don't think of it, in all the different terms. You just go out there, want to coach, want to be involved in the game, want to help young people grow and develop. And it's something, I went to work, as you said, I was a GA for a long time. I was a GA at Wagner College, at Columbia. Then I got to Syracuse, then to Notre Dame before I got my first full-time coaching job. And, but I loved every day of it. You didn't make any money. You're sleeping on couches, trying to find food or something, but I love that just as much, as I love today. And, I was just so fortunate being around some great people. But the biggest lesson I think I learned in the coaching aspect of it for me coming up was just show up and work, and it's really a life. You can take it in anything. If you want to be good at something, just show up and work your tail off. And all of a sudden opportunities will present themselves to you. And if you've worked really hard, you're prepared for those opportunities. Don't wait for the opportunity, then work hard. Work hard, and then when the opportunity shows up, you're ready to go and take advantage of it.
Yeah, and you talk about opportunities, right? For you, it happened, after a long journey of coaching, and then you get that head coaching job at Mississippi State. You get the head coaching job after that, after 9 years at University of Florida. What was it like, just having the opportunity at both those universities to be a part of something great?
Well, it was huge. I kept a file when I was young. I did this early on. I started, realizing taking notes. And at the end of the year, I'd have like different notes, and I'm like, all right, what do I do with all these? I'm a little OCD maybe, and so I want to keep things up, keep it in order. So I'm like, you know what? Let me go review all these notes from the year, like different game plan notes, different off-season notes, meeting notes, uh, and I kind of outlined, and I kept a head coach's file early on, and so there was a lot of different head coaches from, Walt Hamline, Ray Tellier at Columbia, with one National Coach of the Year while I was there, Paul Pasqualoni at Syracuse, unbelievable grinder, Bob Davie at Notre Dame. But, then I got with Urban Meyer, and, Urban was just amazing. But I kept these notes of, if I become a head coach, what do I want to do? These are yeses and nos, things I like, don't like, that, I didn't have any say or control over at the time, but what I would do when I took over a program. And I was blessed in the last. Well, I was an assistant coach for Urban for 8 years, and all the different notes, at different levels too, of starting off the first person with them at Bowling Green, at Utah, then at Florida,
Yeah.
of how to take over a program. But it was it was, as you say, the honor, the excitement, that day one. You go sit in the chair day one at Mississippi State. All of a sudden, you do the job interview. The plane picks you up. They fly you into town. There's people on the tarmac cheering, going crazy. You go to the basketball game that night, and they bring you on the court, and then all the alumni are hanging out. And you go home, and you're like complete. You can't even function. I haven't slept in like a day and a half or 2 days. Show up, get up at like 7 a.m. Like you get at 6 or so, whatever it is, 6, 7 in the morning. And you go sit at that desk, and for the first time, you realize it's all on you, and that's a unique feeling, And then you go back to those notes, you go back to that foundation of what you would do when you get this opportunity, of all the things you've learned from different people. But it is all on you, and that's a lot of pressure coming in at that moment. But it's something that you've dreamed of, and that you really want to take advantage of. And from that day forward, I wanted to work and take advantage of the opportunity I was given to be a head coach, and it's worked out really well for me.
Yeah, I mean, you talk about Mississippi State and Florida, being in the SEC. A lot of people talk about the SEC being different. What is your perspective? Not only just coaching, not as a head coach, and then becoming a head coach. What is the SEC like? Just being a part of those atmospheres, the playing style, the offense. I know obviously you're an offensive coach, and then just being a part of that top caliber of football that you get to experience.
Well, it's fun, when they say it means more, and it just means more. That I listen. I would discredit players around the country and coaches around the country if to say that it means more to the players in the SEC than it does to our players here at UNLV. That every day, every one of our coaches, they're grinding, they're working. I think what separates the SEC is the fan bases. The passion that the fans have in everything that they do. It is SEC football is a 24/7, 365 way of life. And, when you go into the stadiums, the passion that, you go out, sold out stadiums. The loudest places you're ever going to play. Coming in, the bus ride in with the fans all waiting, whether it was the dog walk at Mississippi State or the Gator walk coming into the stadium at Florida. And just thousands and thousands of fans lined up that you're high-fiving going in. They're there when the ball game kicks off, the stadium's packed. They stay all the way to the end to celebrate with the team afterwards. And then when you leave, right? If you win, and you know this, when you win, you're the greatest person on the face of the earth, right?
Yeah.
And when you lose, you're like the lowest level, lowest piece of, what there is, fan bases. They, a lot. I think when you talk about fans, And I know we laugh. You get this as a player. Fans are like, "Hey, we did this, we did this." You're sitting there looking, and you're saying, "Well, I mean, I didn't see you at the 6 a.m. mat drills. Like, what's this
Yep,
we were
yep,
talking
the
about?"
stadium run. I remember those. Yep.
Right? But you know this. But in the SEC, they believe in the we. I mean, the we is all of us. We're all invested, and it's and the fan base is what makes it so special, makes it a lot of fun. I mean, so many great memories. Fortunate enough, I think I won over 100 games as a head coach in the SEC, which is pretty special. And enjoyed it. I lost too many, I think, too, but the losses stick with you more than the wins. But able to win as much as we did and create so many memories was fantastic.
Yeah. So, obviously, transitioning out of Florida, you got to take some time off, spend it with the family, right? Doing a little bit of ESPN broadcasting. But correct me if I'm wrong. I felt like knowing you, you started to get that itch again, right? I feel like, just being around football, you want to be a part of something, coach these guys. What was that like, just transition over to UNLV and then just kind of just getting back into the role of things?
You know what? It was. I really enjoyed my time at ESPN. I knew how things ended at Florida is not kind of how I wanted my final chapter of coaching to be. I didn't know what it would be at that point. When I went and, it was really good for me to take some time to reflect. And I had a much different feeling of the end of Florida after 2 to 3 years than I did when it actually happened. I was able to digest it, really get to the reality of what happened. And so for me, doing the TV was a lot of fun. I really enjoyed it. But I had to find the right opportunity, the right situation, for me to get back in, to what I wanted to do. And I'll be honest, and you'll get this, and I think me, the two biggest factors that got me back in, we had, I went down and they had the 10th anniversary of the 2014 Mississippi State team that was the first team ever ranked number 1 in the college football playoff. And, it's different when if you text me or hit me up or you talk to a player individually, which is most of the time what you do as a coach. You have a guy hit you up, coach, hey, can you help me with this? Or what about this? Or just sharing stories. When you went back as a group and saw that whole team, right? And you have all of them. It's kind of wave after wave of and this is 10 years later of, former players coming up, which was huge. But more importantly, wives coming up to me, of their wives now saying, hey, you made such an impact on my husband's life. He talks about the foundations that you help him build. That was so critical, so important. And, when you look at those things and those aspects of things, hit you of why you got into coaching, which was to make impact on young people's lives. And it's just hitting you time after time. And, then all of a sudden, a couple of weeks later, at the College Football Hall of Fame, Alex Smith was getting inducted, who I coached at Utah. And, part of Alex's speech is, Coach, I wouldn't be here without you and your impact on my life. And at the same, that just happened to be here in Las Vegas while the athletic director at UNLV was chasing me around the city, trying to see if I would have any interest possibly in doing the job. As Megan said, she's like, oh, is he looking for you to try to help him hire a new coach? I said, I think it's something like that. I think she thought he was looking for my advice. But, those things hit me. And all of a sudden it was, it was really was into coaching for, which was helping young people grow and develop. I love the game of football. That's fun. But the reward is helping the young people succeed. It was great being away and seeing how football adjusted over a couple of years. And then the opportunity here, when it hit me, when I had gotten calls over the couple of years I was away from several different schools. I'd been out to UNLV before, and it kind of had a lot of things in place that were going to allow me to really get back into the love of coaching. And, I didn't have to go. We played Allegiant Stadium, which is probably the best stadium in all of college football. We share with the Raiders. We have unbelievable, the Fertitta Football Complex. We have unbelievable football facilities. I wasn't going to have to come in and build from scratch. Team had coming off an 11-win season, and the coach had left because he was getting a better opportunity in his mind. And Even though in today's world that changes quickly, because when I showed up, I think we had 2 returning starters and 20 guys on the team complete. Like the whole team left too. We had to start over. But, so many things were in place that it made it great for me to get back in, that I could get back into the focus on coaching football, developing young people, helping them, and not just like, hey, I got to raise money. We have no facilities. We of all the things of sitting there of saying all the things we don't have and things I have to fix that are wrong with the program. A lot was in place so I could get back to the things I love, which is coaching and helping young people.
That's amazing. And Megan's okay with all that. She's fired up to see you back out there and coaching.
I lost you there for 1 second. What was that?
I said the wife is happy and loves you to see you back out there coaching and everything.
Yeah, I think she enjoyed the TV stuff now. Trust me on that. She enjoyed as much of the amount of time I was at home. All of a sudden it's gone back to those where the disappearing days where I'm gone for a lot of period of time. I think she got used to having me at home some, which was nice. But I think in today's world, be it that time away helped me really balance. As best as I can. I think, you played for me, so my balance is going to be probably a little off kilter to a lot of people's balance in life of what I do with the players and getting around the team and making sure we're ready to go. But I think she's, she enjoys it. We're pretty blessed to be here. Las Vegas is a great city. It's a great place to live. It's interesting. There's always something to do. It's so much fun. I live at Southern Highlands Golf Club, which is one of the premier places. It's an unbelievable place to go hang out, great community. But 15 or 20 minutes, I'm at every restaurant, every show, everything on the strip. The city's such a really cool place to live, and I'm really enjoying it.
Yeah, that's amazing. I remember back in the day, you had the golf simulator in the house down in Gainesville. And now you're right there on the golf course, so definitely getting to enjoy that on the free time.
Yeah, we have some more on recruiting trips. I don't just have to have everybody come to my house. We have some other places we could go to here in Vegas that are a lot of fun. We had, but it is, it's in today's world, as you see, the college football world's changed a bunch too. With the transfer portal, with NIL, with all of those things, and opportunity to coach guys though that still want to be coached. The trick is finding guys that love the game of football, and that is one of the things that we spend a lot of time We signed the #1 recruiting class in the group of 5 in the nation, or group of 6 now in the nation, the top recruiting class of non-power 4 teams. That you still got to go recruit great players, but the key to that is finding guys that love the game, because there's so many other distractions for players in today's world. So I think our staff's done a great job of that and built it. We're able to win 10 games last year. I was pretty honored. I guess the Football Writers Association America named me the first-year National Coach of the Year. So I get to make my return. The award happens to be in Gainesville, where they shoot the
Award.
Yep. To get that award shortly.
Yeah, and that'll be amazing to kind of be back down there and get to obviously receive that. That's just a testament of, everything you've been able to do so far. So, kind of to finish things up, I wanted to ask you a few quick questions. They're a little bit faster, right? Have you ever had a team that was your favorite to coach? Looking back through all the years, was there one in particular that really stands out to you?
Boy, I'll give you. Not I was 11. As an assistant coach, 2004 Utah was unbelievable. I think the whole team and the mindset. It sounds crazy to say, was not, are we going to win every game? It's just by how much. That team was so talented, so much fun to be around. I was a young coach learning. It was really cool. I'd have to go with the 2004 Mississippi State team that went to #1 in the country. We had so many great players and so much talent on that team. And it was a bunch of guys that people didn't believe in. I think that group was one of the lower rated recruiting classes in the SEC. Now, I kind of saw them differently, but they had that chip on their shoulder their whole career. And you could see that year coming. And when it showed up, it was just so fun to be around those guys. I guess, and it's hard to pick because every team has their uniqueness about it, right?
Yeah.
2020 Florida, boy,
That was
I would have loved to have
special.
coached that team. I would have loved to have coached that team in a non-COVID situation. You know what I mean? That was a great team that I loved being around each other. And you were kind of forced because of COVID to not be together, right? I mean, great. I think everybody knows that team was a great football team. When you have a great football team, great football teams aren't just talent-based. They're guys that come together and stick together too, right? And really enjoy being around each other. So it's not just that you have all this talent, all this buy-in. You have also guys that love to be around each other. And I think one of the teams, I think that was a team that had national championship potential. And the issue we had is one of the things that made teams great of being around each other all the time during COVID that was probably the hardest year I've ever had in coaching, because you couldn't do the things that help make a team great. You're kind of battling how do we do activities that keep us all together as a team.
Yeah, and I say put a minute.
When everyone's like, stay apart from each other.
The 6 feet away in the meetings.
Stay apart from each other.
Yeah, I say put a minute back on the clock in the SEC championship versus Alabama. We go down and score and win that game. So I remember that in that season very well.
Yeah, we just ran out of time.
Yeah. Yeah, and then my last one.
And then they rolled through the playoffs. So.
Yeah, exactly. And then my last one for you, right? You talked a little bit about Urban Meyer earlier. You had the chance to be around some of the most amazing coaches ever, and from the NFL, from the college football standpoint. Urban Meyer obviously was a huge part of your journey as well. What was it like being able to be coached by him? Maybe some advice that carried through your journey to get where you're at today.
I think one of the things he did, he was so unbelievable of the accountability piece of holding everybody accountable within the vision of what he had and where he wanted the program to go, and his ability to motivate, the psychology and the ability of him to motivate everybody from coaches to everybody within the program, to push you to levels you didn't think you could go to, were amazing. And one of the things. I love, we had a lot of fun. We were coaching early on. We were both young. The ability to think outside the box, like I've never once, I said, hey, I have this idea, offensively. He wasn't always like, okay, show it to me on film. Who's done it? Because like some of them no one had done. Like, we were like, hey, let's try it. Let's try to be innovative. Let's try this thing called a spread offense. Let's see if we can create something that hasn't been done before. And that's something I still take with me. I take the lessons with me. I think one of the things I look at our staff, is the accountability piece of being accountable to yourself and to your players and to the program. Don't be afraid to be innovative, but take care of your business. And then the key is, I think, in coaching, you have a great mentor like Urban. Urban and I are similar in some ways, but very different in other ways. And I think if you came into the program, you see, if you played for Urban and you played for me, you'd see a lot of cross similarities within the program and things that we do. But I think a lot of times, and you see this with coaches, they want to try to be exactly like their coach. Or this coach was successful, so I want to do it exactly like he did it. You need to take the outline, but you got to apply the specifics to yourself. So I think our outline of how I run the program is really similar to how, I learned running programs from him. I think I was the first person he ever hired. And, we were together for a long time. That the outline of success doesn't change us, but the specifics of it have to be applied to yourself. And anybody that coached for me that has gone on to get head coaching jobs, I'm sure they've taken, they take a lot of the little things we do in our program and apply it. But I always encourage them, don't try to be like me. Take the outline works, but then apply it to your personality and put your stamp on it. And I think that's one of the keys to success for people is, as you're being mentored by successful people, take the outline, take the important things, take how to do things the right way, but then put it into your personality because you have to be you.
Absolutely. Well, Coach, I really appreciate you for hopping on with me today. Obviously, we go way back, so I'm super excited to see your second season up at UNLV, and I really just appreciate you.
Great to see you again, man. Anytime. A lot of fun. I love you love that's the one thing as coaches. You love seeing guys go on and succeed and go and succeed in every aspect of life. That's all we want as coaches, and I'm happy you're doing so well.
Thank you, Coach. Appreciate it.